And it was the one thing that I didn't bring up, that I contemplated bringing up with Shael when he came on at the top of the show, as we bring everything full circle for the evening. I asked him if Israel has the right to exist, and surprisingly, he said, no, they really don't. I was actually surprised by his answer. But I think the more important question was, does he consider himself Israeli? Because in the end, there is no such thing. It's all made up. And how do we know? Because one of the most vocal advocates in the history of Israel, Golda Meir, said as much. It's all a lie.
What was all this area before the First World War? When Britain got the mandate over Palestine, what was Palestine then? Palestine was then the area between the Mediterranean and the Iraqi border.
You say there is no such thing as
East
a Palestinian?
and West Bank, no. East and West Bank was Palestine. I'm a Palestinian.
Really? Huh. Well, you ought to show this to all the Zio scum that are out there who think that Golda Meir is the queen of Israel. No, she's admitting she's Palestinian. She don't look like she's from the region. But then again, what do I know? Maybe it's the lighting on the camera. I can't tell. But hey, let that cat right out of the bag. Very good. Very good. We all want to be an Oscar Mayer winner.
From 21 until 48, I carried a Palestinian passport. There was no such thing in this area as Jews and Arabs and Palestinians. There were Jews and Arabs.
Don't you... I mean, you deny that there was a Palestine Arab people before, but there is now a Palestine liberation movement. The history of liberation movements are that they grow. Won't this one grow and become in fact, your biggest enemy?
I don't say there are no Palestinians, but I say there is no such thing as a distinct Palestinian people of all the Palestinians who live in Jordan.
She really does bear a resemblance to LBJ. It must be that nose. The nose. If you knows, you knows.
Why have the Palestinians in the West Bank become more Palestinians since the 5th of June 67 than they were before? Why didn't they set up a Palestinian country in addition to Jordan? Supposing your premise is right, then what should they have done? They should have set up another independent Palestine and fought from there. They didn't do that. They adopted the fact that they are in Jordan. They've adopted the Jordanian citizens. They are the majority in Jordan. They are in parliament. They are in government. What has happened since? Why have they become more Palestinian conscious since the War of 67? I mean, people, decent people, liberal people, people that are for self-determination, sympathize with Palestinians. Everybody has the right to self-determine except we.
You don't have the right to shit because that land does not belong to you. Now, you can claim all you want, but in the end, Israel is a fantasy. It is as fake as a $3 bill, and it's as fake as you being native to the Middle East. West Asia. People have sympathy for the underdog. And the underdog is Palestine. The underdog is Iran. Israel and the United States have made a very conscious decision to go past the point of no return. We're past it now. And when your cost of living explodes into an even darker territory, well, you know who to blame. But this is why the only solution is revolutionary change. There is no other way. You can't vote your way out of this. You can vote, and you should. But make no mistake. You will not vote your way to prosperity, much less stability. We as Americans are either a United States against Israel, or we will fail. So let's start uniting and crush the memory and spirit of one Golda Meir. She has a little bit more to say.
We're the only people in the world to whom it is not given the right for self-determination. We have to be, evidently, minorities all over the world, and we have no right for independence. The Arabs are prepared to negotiate with us? Which Arab? Where? When? If you know of an Arab leader, head of state, that wants to negotiate with us, by all means, tell us. I'm prepared to go to Cairo, I'm prepared to go to Damascus, I'm prepared to go to Amman, I'm prepared to go to Beirut, anywhere.
You would go to these places?
Yes, happily. To negotiate peace, of course.
What would be your first words to President Nasser if you did ever sit at the table with him?
I would say shalom, which means peace.
If you were brought up in America, what possible right have you to live in a land that was once Arab, whether he neglected it and left it a stony desert or not?
I came to Merhavia when there was nothing there.
That's a lie. She's a liar. They were told it was a land for people without a land, and that is a lie. We've seen what Gaza looked like prior to 1948. The desert was blooming, and it had nothing to do with Jews like her. Just didn't. The whole ideology, everything that Israel stands for, is a lie. It was a thriving agricultural empire. You know what else was a thriving agricultural empire? Ireland. But that's not how the British wrote history. A lot of people don't realize not just that I'm proud to be Irish, but there were things about our history, particularly being the number one linen exporter in the world 1,000 years ago. Isn't that amazing? Then again, most people don't know this. And most people don't know that the land of Palestine was a blooming desert. And now it's a Mediterranean Riviera in waiting, isn't it, Jared Kushner? Let me be clear. The night is darkest before the dawn. And right now, Israel and their cohorts and the neocons, heck, you even had John Bolton coming out today. Man, I only wish I could have convinced Trump to do this during his first term. Those are the people who are celebrating right now. Yeah. You're right, Ruby. And so by that measure, it's very much like the gentleman that Tyler was speaking to in his expose on Lakewood, New Jersey. The Zios have a clear purpose, a united front. We as Americans do not have a united front yet, but maybe we will. The sooner we realize that that's the future, is the sooner we can turn this around. For tomorrow is another day to start again. For the sake of humanity, whatever's left of it, that's what we have to do.
This land was deserted for centuries.
Why?
We were driven out of this land. Is this where history begins? Twice we were driven out of this land, occupied by other powers. The Arabs, this is the only people, the Jewish people, whose life, independence, dignity depends on this piece of soil. The only people in the world, not the
Again, a lie. A lie. Pure and simple, just a lie. Well, she's full of a lot of things, probably cancer too. I'm pretty confident in saying that when she went, it wasn't peaceful.
Arabs. They have this entire territory, the entire vast area, 14 independent countries.
Isn't time, though, on their side, whatever you do?
Why?
Because they talk of fighting for 100 years, they talk of their population growing. Isn't time on their side?
I don't believe it. You mean you want me to believe that things will never change? That they will go on shooting and killing? You want me to believe that generation after generation of young people in the Arab countries will have no other ideal except to kill Jews? I don't believe it.
Prime Minister, thank you very much.
You have to listen to it because you have to understand how they think and why they think the way that they do. But it's not going to work because we as Americans have the opportunity to make this change. Now, it's not going to come pretty. It's going to come violently. And look, they're in the chat. Okay. But just remember, they're overwhelmingly outnumbered. Most people don't agree with them. In fact, the overwhelming majority of the planet doesn't agree with them. And while right now it may seem daunting going forward with this fight, we will go forward. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and Israel will soon be no more.